Alrighty, guys. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. I just wanted to say hello, and I appreciate you guys being here. We are so lucky to have Hikari here doing an AMA with us. They're taking time out of their very busy schedule. They've got pretty like the main team here. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to chill, and I'm going to let them talk about this awesome project because in my opinion, some people think that, it's like, oh, an anime project, whatever. This is definitely more than that, and it's a very cool one, and I'm going to let them tell all about it, all right? Without further
Sweet.
ado, Hikari team, take it on. Let's go.
Sweet. Thank you very much, Zara. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. As you can see, we do have a few of our members up here today, and I'll just start off obviously by introducing them. Unfortunately, obviously, our devise, our head of operations, is currently in the dentist chair, so he won't be able to make it, unfortunately. So you're going to have to put up, obviously, with the rest of us. But we do have G's, our extremely talented artist, myself, the community manager, Z's, one of our marketing advisors, and then we do have Dom up here, who is part of Spiretex, the company which will be developing our Legends of Hikari game. So Hikari started around 3 months ago. We connected with G's. G's has been drawing for over 10 years and saw the opportunities that have risen for artists in the NFT space. At the end of the day, the art is phenomenal, and we believe it is levels above what is currently out there. We also know that in order to succeed and compete in the space right now, we have to bring something unique to the table. This space needs to be pushed forward. Innovation needs to come, and the projects that are able to move forward and able to push that needle are really going to succeed. So I guess on that note, I'll pass over to Ziz, and you can chat a little bit more on the strongest points of how different we are compared to other projects and how Hikari is looking to advance the landscape.
Yeah, sure. Shmood, obviously appreciate that, and obviously everyone that's tuning in, thank you, and thank you for supporting Hikari. So, like Shmood said, I'm one of the marketing advisors on board Hikari, and yeah, it's been a unique experience to say the least. I think just to give you guys, there's so many different aspects of Hikari, and that I've been saying to people, in the NFT space, people like simplicity. And so for Hikari, it's been difficult to, even in the NFT space, we all know people don't really like to read. People like to sort of, just skim through stuff, get some, key points, buy in, and, see what comes from it. And so, getting people to really understand the differentiating factors has been, definitely a challenge. And obviously, that comes with, a project that's really trying to innovate. And so, to give you guys a walkthrough of what to expect from Hikari. Essentially, what you're going to do when you mint Hikari is you'll go and you'll mint a soul. And so if you go take a look at the Twitter, the soul there has been released. But essentially, you'll go mint a soul, and you'll have, much like the vial system, right, for Clonex, you'll have the opportunity to either, or the option to either hold on to that soul or to transfer that soul through GNU at any time. So GNU is essentially a system that the team created really for the fact of trying to create the strongest bond between holder and art possible, right? Which is obviously an extremely important part to any sustainable project. And so essentially what it is it's you look at it almost as a personality test. You'll go through, it's a branching storyline with 450 different paths that you can take. You'll take your soul, you'll connect it to the website, you'll connect the wallet, and obviously you'll select your soul, you'll enter into GNU, you'll be presented with 30 different questions. And essentially, GNU starts from birth. So the first question, for example, will be, do you choose a male or female character? And then you're going to be presented with 30 different questions. Obviously, depending on what your answer is, it will branch off into different, sort of stories. And essentially, at the end, it really tests morals, it tests values. And at the end, you'll be grouped into a sort of, specific grouping. And you'll be presented with a character that essentially reflects your GNU submission. So that's sort of the first part to it. Now, obviously, you can also continue to hold on to the soul, right? Now, obviously, supply is going to decrease there, so value will increase. But also, we've alluded to what's to come for those souls. We haven't said much yet. It's all planned out, but obviously, that's almost the first choice that the user has to make. With that whole system, with the combination of the souls and with the combination of GNU, it already sort of gamifies it a little bit in terms of there's different routes and there's different strategies that you can take, right? So the amazing thing here is G's has obviously with Hikari, there's a bunch of different demographics that have really come to the table, right? So you've got, Jesus' audience. Jesus got over 2 million followers. You've got his audience that just absolutely loves the artwork, and they're going to come in, they're going to put the soul straight through Genu just to get the artwork. Right, but then you've also got people, and we've been talking to quite a few alpha groups about this. You've got sort of the more experienced people in this space, the people that want to be a little bit more strategic and maybe are a little bit more, money focused, I guess you could say. And essentially, they're gonna, play the game with a little bit more strategy and be a little bit more big brain, I guess you could say about it, right? So, what they could, potential strategy that you could do that a lot of people have been talking about is, hey, I'm gonna hold the soul for 10 days, 12 days. I'm going to see what rarity comes up for the characters. Okay, perfect. A woman with these traits and this sort of personality profiling is extremely rare right now. I'm going to go through Genu now and I'm going to try and almost gamify or game it to essentially, create that character, right? So there's just quite a few different options and strategies that come out of it, which I think is really cool. Touching on to sort of the gamification. So if you go and have a look at the Hikari roadmap, essentially, Hikari put out what was initially a manuscript, and it was essentially like a poem, and you had to go in, and it was in touch with sort of our lore, obviously, and you had to go in and dissect it, and then we put out a full explanation on that. The main points in that being Genu, another key point being a comic book, so essentially 4 weeks after Hikari mints, estimate. We're essentially going to allow, we've got 20 people, I believe, Schmood's working on this with the community, 20 members of the community at the moment writing the Hikari comic book. And essentially what you'll be able to do, I think the cutoff date's going to be somewhere about 7 days after mint. You'll be able to go and fill out a form. And if you minted Hikari, you'll get a free version of a physical copy of the Hikari comic. If you have got your character by then, so if you've been through Genu by then, you'll also be able to put your personalized character onto the front cover of that comic. So that's sort of the introduction into physical. And so that was one of the key points on the roadmap. Streetwear was also on there, the overall vision, Genu. But I think, and I touched on this in the last AMA that we did with our community. I think one of the really interesting parts about the Hikari team is it's really under promising and over delivering, right? So when that initial roadmap was released, I believe it was 2 3 weeks ago, there was no mention of a game, even though a game had been talked about for weeks prior. And the whole reason being is until it's 100% set in stone, there should be no talks of it. And I think obviously in this space, there's a lot of announcements and stuff, really trying to build hype. And I think, at the end of the day, if the project just lets actions speak louder than words, I think it's gonna benefit everyone. And so essentially what happened was the team found Dom, and Dom is obviously and his team are gaming developers. That came to fruition a lot earlier, and then last week the Legends of Hikari game was announced. So essentially that's going to be a MOBA game. Dom, do you want to touch on that a little bit and just talk about sort of what that's going to entail? You're probably a little bit more well versed on that than I am.
Yeah, so MOBA, for people who are not familiar with the term, it's multiplayer online battle arena. If you still have no idea what that means, for me personally, I think of Overwatch, because I played a lot of Overwatch throughout the past few years. But League of Legends is arguably the most popular one of the most popular ones. Dota 2 is another very popular one. I'm not sure if Valorant would be considered, but games where you're confined to a map, and you have a team, and you try to battle it out with an enemy team. However many enemy teams there are. So our rendition on that is heavily inspired by League of Legends. We kind of sampled the community. They are very, very invested into League of Legends. They love it. They're always talking about it in the chat. So we're taking a lot of inspiration from that. And we're adding our own unique twist. So if you have even seen the white paper on the game on the Hikari Twitter, there are 4 clans in the lore. We're adding a 4v4, I guess a 4-team quad team battle instead of just 2 teams, which is kind of the norm in the MOBA space. We're adding a quad team dynamic, and of course there will be implementation and discussed implementation along the lines for different game modes such as a normal 2v2. But right now we want to make it as unique as possible and really have people feel invested. The people who go through Genu and have a personal attachment to their token, we want them to feel invested in the gameplay. So they're going to be competing against the other 3 clans, whatever clan they align themselves with, and they'll be battling in the MOBA. So kind of what the gameplay could look like We're going to start off with 3 kind of player archetypes. There's a tanky player, there's a base or a ranger player, and there's a lightweight player. And for people who are familiar with MOBAs, those are pretty much exactly what you would imagine. But for people who are not familiar, a lightweight player is quicker, deals a little bit more damage, but is very easily killed. A tanky player deals less damage, is not easy to kill, and a ranger, a mid-tier player, an average player, is a good middle. A lot of people would probably be, most associated with that mid-tier player. But it's very exciting. The biggest thing is you want to make sure the game is completely and totally engaging. And we've been working on the combat engine, which is fancy terms for my code that I've been developing to make the combat as fun as possible. That's gonna be one of the biggest things. Every hit, every projectile you launch, every spell cast, and every power up, it's gonna feel completely and totally engaging. And that is in any combat based game. That's one of the most important things. So definitely look out for sneak peeks. We're gonna be dropping sneak peeks on the Hikari Twitter and on the business Twitter, my business Twitter. It's definitely going to be very, very exciting.
Appreciate it, Dom. Appreciate it. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a little bit more of an insight on that front. I'm just trying to think, Shmoot, is there anything that I've missed potentially if you want to touch on sort of the whitelisting, the community situation? I know obviously that's an important dynamic of any project. So if you maybe want to touch on that, and then we can go from there.
No, for sure. I mean, and ensuring that the Hikari community is built to the highest standard possible has been our goal from the start. We kick things off by taking in mod applications and having them go through rigorous interviewing processes, and then selecting a team which, I mean, I believe is super strong and well fit to tackle a project of this magnitude. I mean, firstly, I do just want to touch on the kind of approach that we have taken to Discord. As you all know, our strategy to unlock Discord is a little bit different to others that you see in the space. Hikari has gone for a hybrid approach where all information is visible to everyone, to the public, while community access and community channels are locked. The issue of locked Discords is a lot of information on the project is posted within these hubs, and it cannot be posted on Twitter, right? So we decided to take an approach which allows everyone to get all relevant information, and to access these community channels is you need to take a quiz, passing a certain percentage in order to access the rest of the community. This just helps a huge amount of preventing bots from accessing the community, while also ensuring that everyone that enters is vetted and well versed on Hikari. The locked Discord meta has been used as a marketing ploy, just to generate a lot of hype. And even for myself, I've found it really hard to have a deeper understanding of a project without Discord access, right? So I think this type of approach has been the best balance that, I mean, we've seen in the space. So just to touch on a little bit on our whitelist, our whitelist is very, very limited. We have got our last 100 spots left that now our admins handpick from the community. I will have a channel put up in our Discord very shortly on a full breakdown on how to earn those last 100 spots. I mean, our biggest mission has been to craft a whitelist, including the strongest members of the community. It's been super important to us and plays a large role in the micro success of Hikari, right? Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of covers everything along the lines of Discord and whitelist. I mean, Zero, is there any questions from yourself, the team, or anyone from the community that you guys have? I know that's probably a lot to take in, but is there anything from your end?
Yeah, I mean, so first off, I gotta say, I'm a huge League of Legends fan. I've been playing it for probably like 7 years or something like that. It's like the only game that I'm off and on, always coming back to. Like I'll quit it, I'll get it mad, I'll get tilted, and I'll quit, and then like, for like 3 months, and then me and all my like real life friends will come back to it and play it again. So like I'm gonna probably ask questions like concerning that, because I'm really curious about like the game itself. Like you said there was different like classes and whatnot. Is like, so how does it work with like your, like you get your NFT and Like, how does that kind of like work? Like, like how do you pick like different characters and stuff like that? Can you just elaborate more on
Yeah.
the game?
Shmoo, do you want me to take that?
Yeah, tell me you can take that.
So to begin, it's very we got to be very clear up front that there will not be a direct representation of your NFT in the game. And you're probably wondering why. Jesus' artwork is very, in depth, detailed, and it's unique. So we would need to outsource to get modular assets. The game is being produced in Unity, modular assets to Unity in order to accommodate, however, or 5,500 unique NFTs. And that's something that's completely and totally doable. But within our timeline, we're trying to push out a playable product as soon as possible, a playable product that can be tested by the community for further, development. So in terms of the classes you're gonna see, every clan is gonna have three basic archetypes. And personally, I know very limited about League of Legends. Not very limited. I know half decent amount about League. I myself have not played. I've only watched um, streams and YouTube videos, but
Hmm.
I'm more familiar with Overwatch. I've played years worth of Overwatch. Are you familiar at all with that
Yeah. So like in my times, not like it seems like a bit weird to characterize Overwatch as a MOBA, but like
as a
also,
MOBA? Yeah,
but
no, I
but but
understand.
but no, but like so, but it makes sense. Like that's
Hmm.
exactly like the definition of MOBA is like literally exactly like
Yeah, yeah,
like you're
yeah,
saying, it's a multiplayer online battle arena. So like
yeah.
that could work with a lot of stuff. So like like I would characterize Overwatch as like a first person shooter that's like team
Yeah,
oriented,
exactly. I know
and
exactly.
like that. So like I would say like League of Legends and like Dota and like things are like of that nature. And definitely I would not
Hmm.
definitely not consider Valorant. That's just me. But like,
Nah.
but yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'm very
Um,
familiar with Overwatch.
yeah. So your lightweight character would be synonymous with a tracer. Your ranger, your mid tier would be synonymous with a soldier, and your tank is obviously like a Reinhardt.
Right.
The cornerstone, like the basic, archetypes you would think of in a game like this. And, that's essentially the idea is to get the basics out there and feel around, make sure all of the logic is dialed in, and that's going to prove, or that's going to serve itself as a, kind of a testing ground, a player populated or community populated testing ground. We're going to have everyone in the game seeing what they enjoy, seeing what they don't enjoy, what they would like improved, what would they would like added, and we're going to end up taking it from there. One of the things I will say now is that there are the four clans. They have their specific elements, their specific colors. You will have those represented in the gameplay. So just speaking from very very basic terms from what the project looks like now, something like the Tempest clan in Hikari, their stuff is going to be earth based. Their abilities are going to be earth based, leaf based, grass based, green.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, the Scorching Sun clan is going to be fire based, fireballs, firewalls, stuff like that, flaming swords. Those are the type of things you would expect. That's the personalization. But the goal is more so to have people associate with their team, and then a direct association with their token will be built later down the line. In game, sorry, in game.
Awesome. So like so now that we are like kind of like we understand that's like the MOBA one, like I understand the archetypes. Like your tank is like your guy that you like make go in first. He's like the meat shield, takes like the damage so that your damage dealers can do damage. But like, so is it like what style of game? Like when I like am playing it, am I gonna be clicking on the screen to move my character? Is he gonna be small? Am I gonna be inside my character and I'm gonna be like casting spells and stuff like that in like a first person mode, or like how's that gonna be?
No, the so that's where it inherits from League of Legends. It's going to be
Okay,
a
cool,
top down with clicking,
awesome. And
and I do have the movement all mostly hashed out currently. I'm debating on whether or not to implement a few things, and I want to take it up with the team.
right. So like each person, like are they gonna have like a set number of spells? Are you going to have to like level up? Like will you have to buy items? Like do you know what I mean? Like
Yes. So again, inheriting from League of Legends, there's going to be in-game
okay.
progression for each player. So that progression is going to span from equipment to abilities. Those progressions would stem from leveling up through, defeating AI throughout the map, um, defeating other players throughout the map. And it's going to be very, very, in my opinion, I'm very excited to get this going because I'm not sure. I consulted a friend and he said that League of Legends had a quad team battle at some point. I personally have no
They
idea.
used to have a
You
game
would probably
mode.
know
It
more.
was like a twisted tree line. They had some different, like, kind of like quote unquote, like failed, like ones that are game
Hmm.
modes that are not in it anymore. They have like ones where like there's three different lanes, and then there's jungles, and then you like kind of
Hmm.
go through and you like, you're trying to destroy the nexus or like their base. Is it gonna
Hmm.
be like that? Are you guys gonna have different game modes? Because like the cool thing about League of Legends is that they have one game mode where it's like 5v5 and you're all in the same lane. And then they have another
Yeah.
game mode where like, you have 5v5 and you have a jungler and you have two people down at the bottom lane, you have one person in the middle lane, and you have one person at the top lane. Do you guys like
Mm.
know like if you're gonna have different modes or like that?
It's something that's been discussed, absolutely.
Okay.
But we're just trying to hash out the biggest thing is ensuring, again, I kind of mentioned it before, that the combat is engaging and addictive, as fun as possible, because
Yeah,
obviously that's what you're doing for the
exactly.
most part.
So
But
like
with
by
this,
yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. With this, since it's a 14 battle, I'm very excited to get it going because I believe that it's going to be extremely fun. I mean, obviously, I believe it's going to be fun, but it's going to be different. It's going to be faster paced. You're going to be able to progress through your individual progression, your skill tree progression, and your equipment progression a lot faster than you normally would. It's going to be some cool stuff.
That's awesome. So you said what was it like the time frame around? Is it like you said about like 6 weeks after?
Schmoot, is that
I thought I
wrong?
did I read that
I mean,
somewhere?
we're looking at around 8 weeks, 8 to 9 weeks
8 weeks.
per
Yeah.
mint. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad like at all. Like as far as like game development goes, and like, have you guys
Nah.
already been like? I mean, I know you're talking about it, and I apologize if some of these questions are stupid, but like, I'd rather everyone kind of like understand, and I'll be the guy that asks the stupid questions instead of someone else doing it. Um, have you guys already been like working on this? Like, how long have you been working on the game, or is this like you said, is like kind of a newer thing? You weren't supposed to do this at the beginning, and then you guys decided
Uh,
to do this?
so I've been working on my own individual project, which I'm not going to talk about currently, but the combat engine stems from that. The combat engine I've been working on, since I met Shmood. Um, it's got to be 3 months now. Melee combat, projectile combat, AOE combat. I developed. If anyone's familiar with coding or programming, in C Sharp, I've developed a list of
Mm-hmm.
classes that are completely and totally reusable and scalable. It's as simple as just, you know, plugging in a different effect, changing a few variables, and you can build out a new ability. And the abilities scale beautifully. And it allows for the development to happen a lot quicker. So for the past 3 months, I've been working on a completely different project. Um, and the code for the combat is going to be used here. The map is original. The progression system in game is original, but a lot of the code is going to be repurposed. And obviously, it's going to be adjusted for Hikari specific needs.
It's awesome. So, another question, like, in like regards to like League of Legends, is it gonna be the same as in like, the number of like abilities, that someone has? Like, are you gonna like have four and then you like put more points into them to like make them do more damage or have like a lower cooldown or like, added effects or anything like that?
So in terms of the amount of abilities a player will get, we haven't finalized that yet, or I haven't finalized that yet. Um, we want to make sure. I want to make sure that each clan has something unique, but that it's even. You don't want to make one clan completely and totally overpowered, and then everybody's trying to flock to that. Um, in terms of progression, yes, you will be able to spend skill points to improve performance. Most of that is going to stem from improving stats. So, a player will start with dexterity, intellect, strength, and you can improve those as you progress. But something that can also be added or will also be added is the progression of skill or abilities themselves. So, if you have a dash ability, you can spend the points to make yourself dash further. Or a fireball, explodes and hits multiple more targets. Stuff like that will be in the game.
Oh, that's awesome. So like, so you say, so that sounds like a little bit different than like how League of Legends is when you like have dexterity and stuff like that, because like you don't really put any points into that. You kind of just like level up and it's just your skills. So
And it automatically does. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's something that we've discussed. We want to make sure that we kind of want to allow the experience to be completely and totally personable or customizable. Sorry, wrong word. Customizable. So you can spend your skill points on a multitude of things. And keep in mind, these are things that have not been finalized yet. Um, there's the number of abilities is still up in the air. What the baseline or the starting stats will be is still up in the air in terms of how much strength you have. So that's stuff that could change, and that's stuff that I'm sure will be tweaked after launch. We may launch and people say, "Hey, we want it to be more like League of Legends." Just don't let us adjust the skills, and that's absolutely something that we can move towards. But the biggest thing I want to make sure is that those changes, if the community wants those changes, they're not breaking. The entire game does not break. If I say, "Hey, you can no longer adjust your stats," that's something that's very important for us.
gotcha. That's very cool. And so like when you guys, so like what was the main like drive before you guys came up with the idea for it to be a game as well? Because that came like after you had already decided to do the NFT. Like what was like the utility or like what was the point of it besides or was it just a profile picture project?
Yeah, I can touch on this if you want, Shmurd, because this was one of the things I've talked heavily to devise about. So essentially, first of all, look, I think even this is a thing. Devise put out a tweet the other day, and it was something along the lines of, a Genu's been announced, MOBA game's been announced, all this stuff. At the end of the day, we can't overlook the fact that, you've got one of the most renowned for independent anime artists on board, and I think he said in the tweet, that utility essentially would be enough for most projects.
Yeah.
So I think at the start, right, the project was based. It was a couple of things. First of all, it was based around the art, and I don't think that should be overlooked. I think and that's one of the hard things too is making sure that the attention doesn't get swayed away from that. Because at the end of the day, the art. It's funny we have Crypto Wall Street in here, who I was talking to about this exact thing this morning, and we're sort of just having a chat of obviously sort of the art style of other projects, other anime projects out there, right? It's very simplistic. Any anime art that we've seen before has been very simplistic, and obviously it's followed Azuki. They've done an absolutely fantastic job, as we all know, right? And so to come in with extremely busy and bold and unique art, it's a unique move, it's a bold move, and it's very, very different. And I think a lot of people may look at it at first and go, I don't know if I'm as big a fan just because they're so uh, particular or just so familiar with very simplistic, clean, sleek art, right? But I think when you start to get into the details, and this is what we're talking about this morning, when you start to get into the details of the art that Jesus put together, I mean, it's phenomenal, and I think every piece is just so well crafted. We were a couple of days ago. I got sent the collection. Just looking through, I think there's very very few pieces in there, if any, that I would would second guess or that I wouldn't be thoroughly impressed with myself. And I think he's done a fantastic job on that front. So first of all, it's keeping attention there. I think the second thing, obviously, and it's sort of, I guess, progressed, right? And I guess, from where sort of Devise and the team came from, it's progressing through these different steps. First of all, is making sure they're good art. Then it's making sure that the relationship between holder and art is as strong as possible, which the result is Gen U. And then obviously it's starting to expand into, okay, what is the long-term vision for Hikari? And essentially it's, these ecosystems, again, something myself and Crypto were speaking about this morning, these sort of ecosystems have obviously, sort of become the new sort of talking point, I guess, in the space at the moment. And a lot of projects have tried to do it and a lot of projects have failed, right? And I think obviously, Hikari is all about making the right plays in order to be able to get essentially to the end goal. And obviously, the game is, for a lot of people, the game would be the goal. And I think for Hikari, the game is just the starting point. And we haven't even touched on this, and it hasn't been touched on in our Discord or anything, simply for the fact of tokenomics on the back of these games is very hard to do in the right way. It's very hard to do sustainably, as we've seen time and time again with projects bringing out tokens that are just absolutely flopping and killing the project, right? So there's a lot of ideas from sort of the Legends of Hikari game being the starting point to really and being the base of sort of what else can be built off of that. Without saying too much in terms of the ideas that I've seen, I think once the game is out and once everything's been tested and been debugged, I know these chats have taken place between Dom and the team as well, in terms of what you can roll out beyond that, and sort of that being the start of the journey, I guess you could say. So for a lot of people, I guess they may look at the game and go, hey, this is just an entertainment platform. I think for the team, it's more looking at it like, hey, this is a base for what we can, build off of, and there's a ton of ideas there, especially surrounding the tokenomics of it.
That's awesome, because like I asked that question because like just to be completely like brutally honest, that like
Yeah.
you touched on Uzuki, and like Uzuki kind of like started and ended the anime art meta because people are trying to like
Definitely.
copy that. And so like like not trying to be like anything, but like just being blunt is just like you guys got like you have to have more than just like it being anime art, even though this like art is absolutely sick. And I was just like scrolling through the shop for G's, and like I was just like, oh boy, Demon Slayer, this shit's sick, and like like just like
Yeah.
loving it. So like I gotta say, like the art like really does speak for itself. But then like adding the whole aspect of like having a game coming out, and honestly like having the game not like come like crazy, like take a long time, because that's the biggest issue with a lot of these
Mhm.
gaming NFT projects, is that they come out and then they do well, and then they end up like the floor price usually crashes because like the game is in development and there's no way to keep like people like interested. So like what do you guys plan on doing to keep like us interested, like beyond just having it the incredible artwork, and I'm not like trying to like call you guys out. I'm just like I want to ask these
No,
questions
definitely.
because like people aren't asking them, and I know people like think this kind of stuff, and this is like kind of how I roll with the AMA. So I just want to
Yeah.
get all the really good information out of you guys.
100%. And I think even just touching on the first point there, I think would be the first to say the anime meta is a detriment to this project now,
Yeah,
100%. I
unfortunately,
think,
like, but this
yeah.
artwork is really unique as far as that goes, because a lot of
Hmm.
it feels really very similar. But I will say that
Yeah.
for anime meta, like for anime stuff, like this looks like really unique, and it's like really fucking cool. So
Exactly. And obviously, the past week we've sort of seen the whole anime meta thing kick back in, obviously based off of Zuki's success. But yeah, at the end of the day, um, our job has probably been made a lot harder due to this being an anime project, right?
yeah.
Obviously, like you said, it's just phenomenal, but just because it is anime, and obviously the market sort of revolves around those sort of micro trends, it's definitely a bit of a detriment. So, in terms of sort of, what can come in the future, right? Touching on a few things here. First of all, I want to touch on, because another thing I spoke to Crypto Wall Street about this morning was essentially, I think what's really unique too about the Curry team is the first key part, not the first key part, but one of the first, parts of the roadmap is going to be delivered upon it, and that's Gen U. And Gen U, I mean, there's 450 different scenarios. There's a whole branching storyline. The amount of work that's gone into that alone, I know, Devise and Trajan and the team there have just been absolutely, working their asses off for the last couple of months on it. And so I think what's really cool is being able to see a team that's building well beyond, dollars even raised. And obviously, there's huge development costs involved in that and stuff. And then, being able to see the result exactly, essentially as soon as the mint happens, straight away. There is no way in the delivery starts as soon as essentially, the mint ends, which I think is great. And then, going on from that into, what comes after. Obviously, for the characters, the game is there, and obviously, future. There's so many different points, and like I just touched on before, there are so many different things that can be built off the base of the game. Like I said at the start, the big thing for Hikari is under promising and over delivering, and to come out and say, hey, the game is going to have all these different game modes. This is what the tokenomics are going to be. This, and this, just to essentially build this hype. it's never going to work, right? And obviously, we've seen it time and time again. It's a bigger detriment than it is good. And so, in terms of the options there, they're countless, but it's about getting those foundations set first. In terms of the souls, we've alluded to what's to come for soul holders. I'm sure if you even went and had a look through the roadmap, you'd be able to probably decipher it a little bit. But there will be I don't know what the time frame is on it. It's definitely not going to be too lengthy, but I know that there will be benefits coming to souls, and it will also, without saying too much, the souls will also play a part in the game. All right, so that sort of alludes to that a little bit and covers that. But I mean, even in terms of just the GNU system, right? There's so many different options that can arise from that. So, in the at any time, essentially, the team could go, okay, perfect. We're going to change up the storyline. We're going to come out with a new GNU, like a version 2 GNU. We're going to allow people that have a character to go into GNU and essentially, update or start from a new starting point dependent on the character profile and essentially almost not rewrite the story but take another path, if that makes sense. So there's could be multiple versions of GNU that come out. I mean, the opportunities are endless at the end of the day. It's about getting the foundation set first and obviously making sure everything runs smoothly.
Awesome. Can you like when you say Gen U, can you like explain like kind of like what that means? Because I'm not, is that just saying like the Genesis, like the first collection?
No, no, no. So Gen U is essentially this full system where it's a system of when you mint Hikari,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be able to go through a system which our team's created called Gen U, right?
Okay.
And it's essentially generation buff for you. So essentially, you will go into Gen U, you'll connect your soul because you're not gonna mint a Hikari character. You're gonna mint a
Right.
Hikari soul. And so when you get that soul, you'll be able to connect it to your wallet at any time, and you'll be able to enter into the system what is called Gen U with 30 different questions that you'll go through, right? So the first question will be, and it's all based around, or it's all written into a storyline. It's a branching storyline with 450 different scenarios that you can take. 30 questions in total. The first question will be at birth, and it will say something along the lines of, essentially it will allow you to select whether you want a male or female character. And from there, you'll continue to go through sort of this character's life, and you'll select these different options and all these different answers depending on sort of your personality. Ideally, is how it's meant to work, right? And so obviously you can, anyone can take it how they want to. They could go through and just click random results, but ideally for the best sort of experience, you'll go through and you'll sort of do it based on your morals and your values, and then you'll be grouped into a specific grouping, and your character will essentially reflect that. You'll also be able to take your NFT and you'll be able to connect it to the website, and you'll be able to essentially get the full personality profile of that character, if that
Sick.
makes sense. Also, when you go through GNU, there's a sort of a governance metric called mana, and that mana. So essentially, if you go through and say there's a question and it is, you're in a boarding house, and everyone else goes out. You're a boarding house at school, and everyone else goes out and they go to steal some food from the fridge. Do you choose to go with them or not? And if you click yes, then what happens is there's a dice roll, and there's a 60% chance that it all goes fine, you get back, and you're all safe. There's a 40% chance that you get caught and you're stuffed up. And if you get caught, essentially that's a consequence, and that's reflected in the mana token. You'll get mana taken away. If all goes right, then it'll be +2 mana or whatever. And when the game comes out, that mana is obviously sort of the in-game currency on the game, and so when that comes out, essentially if you have higher mana from Gen U, you'll have an advantage when the game comes out. So there's a little bit of tie and crossover there as well.
Ah, okay. It's very cool. That's
Does that
interesting.
answer?
Do you guys
Yeah, sorry, man.
no,
Made
no,
that
no,
clear. It's
no. I
just so
mean,
many, so confusing. It's so hard to get across sometimes because there are a
no.
lot of aspects. Like I
I
said,
mean,
it's
I'll tell you, like, if you didn't have answers like this, and I would probably say that was a red flag if you weren't able to, like give these in-depth answers. So I appreciate
yeah.
that, even if it's a little bit confusing, but it's like one of those things where you like read through it. Do you guys have like a lore writer? You were talking about like this ever-changing story and stuff like that. Do you guys have someone who like writes lore and like it's gonna have like a whole backstory between each like clan? I think is what you called them.
Yeah, sort of the whole team sort of involved in writing the law, funny enough. Like, obviously, as a marketing advisor, I'm on a lot of the tweets and stuff, and so I'll sort of go back, with the team on that. What we've actually got is sort of internally is sort of profiling for sort of each different grouping, right? So you've got sort of clan profiling that goes also a little bit deeper than that. And so essentially, like when we're writing anything based on when we're writing announcements or writing tweets or anything, and we're talking about, a specific clan, or we're talking about the Hikari story, essentially we'll refer to those documents, if that answers your question.
Yes, that definitely does. So then like kind of just, I know it might be a little bit all over the place, but I'm just trying to think of like questions as I go.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So like, can people that don't own the NFT, can they play the game?
They cannot. No.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna ask because like sometimes some people like some games will do it where they can have people that are not NFT holders, but like the NFT holders actually have like a benefit, like a bonus or something. Like wouldn't be
Yeah.
like tokenomics or anything like that. And sometimes that helps like onboard people who are not into NFTs and be into like might decide to buy a Hikari NFT. So that's why I asked that.
Definitely, definitely. I think, yeah, I obviously mug of us, so I'm not going to touch too much on that. But I'm sure, Dom, I'm not too sure if you have an opinion on that as well. But I think, potentially at the start, getting the holders involved, and then, potentially looking, I'm not sure how difficult it is to switch up to public if it was required and if the benefits were there, is always an option. But I do know at the start it's just going to be holder only.
Yeah, that's definitely a cool idea. I mean, that's something I personally have thought about. Obviously, if you hold the NFT, you should add some sort of added benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, games succeed with the biggest audience ever, or no, not the biggest audience. Games succeed with a bigger audience. Um, you know, in the beginning, like I said, when we launched the game, the number one priority and the number one thing that we're looking to do is ensure that everything is secure. If somebody's playing around and exploiting, we can catch them. We know what they were doing, and we make sure that those holes are patched up before we, progress without going into too much detail. But that's certainly something that is possible, and to be honest, that's probably um, easier than just making it so that people have to abide to or stick to their clan and use or they have to have an NFT to play the game.
Yeah. Um, so like, are you guys gonna be rolling out like patches, for like balance changes and tweaks and things like that? Are you gonna do that all the time, or like, how's that gonna work? Is it gonna be like, oh, something's like game breaking, so like, someone's like, exploiting something, and it's like totally like not like a, like a hack or anything like that. It's just that like, you implemented like an ability and it can be used like unfairly, and if like someone's
Like a
team does,
spam. I got you.
yeah.
I know
Yeah,
what you
so
mean.
like, are
I
you
know
guys?
exactly what you
So
mean.
yeah, are you guys gonna roll out like patches like as you need to? Will
Yeah,
you do updates for like?
absolutely,
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
absolutely. That's in the future, that will be very very important. To stay on top of the game, ensure that if there are bad actors, they can be handled as soon as possible, and we can fix the problems. And it's important that we're able to scale the game up. If we want to add more features, whatever the community wants, we got to make sure that we can back that and put that into the game as quick as possible. Get something working in front of them and then fix it as needed.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, that's almost like a complete necessity nowadays. I mean, I remember when I was a gamer, because like I'm not. As far as like the gaming world goes, I'm old, but like, as far as like real life is, I would say I'm still young, but like I've been gaming for a long time. I remember saving up money with my brother to buy a Super Nintendo, back in the day. So like I've been around gaming for a long time. But one thing that I'll say that like the reason why like League of Legends is so great and some of those MOBAs is like because you can buy skins. Like, is there going to be something like that? Maybe what would be really cool is if you like, for people who owned the NFT, like have minted an NFT, you guys do a snapshot and then you can like airdrop like a special skin or something like that.
You guys want me to touch on this?
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
good.
yeah, Dom, if you want to touch on that.
So my personal, why did I get into NFT and why did I combine it with gaming or NFTs and combine it with gaming? Your progress in a video game means something. You play Fortnite, which is everyone knows Fortnite.
Hmm.
Um, you buy the skin. What does that really mean? You paid someone for that skin. And now it means nothing. It's not transferable. With one of the biggest applications for blockchain technology is going to be gaming. In 10 years, everybody's saying it. I think a lot of people just shrug it off, but it's the truth. The ability to transfer your skins, transfer your weapons, transfer your whatever in a video game, and have that, whatever you received for that transfer be used in a different video game, that'll be huge. Especially as not to use the word, but especially as metaverses start to arise, you'll be able to hop from this one to the next one, just by transferring. You earn something in this game and you're set in another game. That's certainly something that I've considered, I've looked into, and that's why it's very important to look into modularity and scalability. So that's stuff. The second we decide to, if we do decide to pull the trigger on that, it can easily be added as soon as possible. It's just a simple call to a contract, and that's assuming we use it on chain. We produce the skins as NFTs, and not just assets accessed from a server or a database. Just access the contract and then it's usable in game. But that's certainly something that I'm interested in personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. all great answers. Go ahead. Someone want to chime in?
Zero, just so before anyone else chimes in, if it's easy, you want to go after. We do have another meeting in 10 minutes. Just to let you know. Sorry, don't mean to rush anything at all, but just so you know.
Okay, gotcha. No worries. I'm just like totally like gaming fanboying out to you guys right now. No one's really asking me these questions. I'm just like, really interested. That's why I'm the AMA guy, because like I ask all these questions. I ask questions that people don't want to ask and whatnot. But yeah, so like I guess if you guys have any kind of, I don't want to make you guys go all the way to the on the hour. So if you guys want to do ask, tell any last minute things or anything you guys want to leak, or any alpha you want to drop or anything like that before you guys head out. Can I post that demo? I'm not sure if that was somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah,
That was in that Discord.
yeah. Okay, cool. I was just making sure. I didn't know, but there's like a cool
Yeah.
demo that they like. I'm posting it into
Perfect.
the
I
voice
think,
chat channel.
well,
Awesome.
yeah, no, awesome. I think, just from our end, appreciate obviously the support on your end. And obviously, Guden has been a phenomenal help to us. He jumped on a call, I know, of the team very early on, and really gave some great advice. And was reaching out today and congratulating on 100K on Twitter and stuff, and just to see that support. I think from a marketing perspective for Hikari, $1 has not been spent on marketing for Hikari, which I'm really proud of from a marketing perspective, and I think has obviously just shown that people see the value, people see obviously the innovation, and I think when you do things with the right motive and when you do things to really I guess try and move the needle in the space, people recognize it, right? And obviously, whether it's you guys, whether it's Neo Tokyo, whether it's Metaverse HQ, whoever who's been supporting us, just to see that has been really warming. So appreciate obviously anyone that's tuned in here. Appreciate the support. If you guys have any questions, Shmood, I guess just Discord would be best. Obviously Hikari Discord, or if Shmood, I'm not sure if you can access in here to answer any questions or whatnot, but I'll leave that to you guys. But yeah, thank you for jumping in. Thanks for listening to us, and I hope you guys got a good idea of sort of what's to come.
Absolutely. Does anyone else want to talk before I wrap it up?
Yeah, just again, on what Z said, just thank you obviously for having us. You guys have been great support, and obviously more news to come and more updates. So we'll see you guys around for sure.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you guys allow us to have you in here on a stage and give us the opportunity to ask you questions and to hear all about the game, hear all about the project and all that good stuff. I always say this in a lot of my AMAs is, I can read your white paper, I can sit in your Discord, I can read for till my eyes bleed, but when I hear you guys actually talk about it, when I hear it from the founders and the team and hear it from your guys' mouth, it kind of makes it kind of makes Hikari come to life, I guess is the best way of saying it, because I really do appreciate this, and you can really tell that you guys have spent a long time doing this, and it's very much appreciative. And well, my final thing is what's everyone's favorite anime?
My favorite anime, did you say? Sorry, Zero.
Yes, yeah. I was asking what you guys' favorite animes are, because
My
I'm
one,
definitely
Future Diaries.
curious.
Do you know Future Diaries?
Mm-mm. Is it something
Yes,
I
that
should
one's
check out?
definitely check. I mean, it's a bit of a sad story, but it's a real good. I mean, that's one of my favorites. Z's. I mean, G's. Sorry, if you want to touch on kind of what's your favorite. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but
Yeah, yeah. Demon Slayer is really
Oh
good.
yeah, baby.
My favorite one is Black Clover though. If
Oh
you haven't
yeah,
watched
that's a
it, you
good one.
should.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
Really
definitely.
good.
Very good stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, for my one, I honestly haven't watched too much, obviously, coming as a micro advisor, but checking out G's art, obviously, he's done a lot of stuff on Demon Slayer, so a couple of weeks ago settled into that, which is really my introduction. So I would have to go with, in terms of what I've seen, Demon Slayer for sure.
I'll let you know what to watch. Please.
Are you gonna give me some better stuff? All right,
You
sounds
need
good to me.
yeah, you should check out One Punch Man. That's like one of my
One
favorites,
Punch
my
Oh,
all
that's
Man.
great.
timers.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the story that won. He's like the writer of One Punch Man. I also like Mob Psycho a lot. You know, I'm a Dragon Ball. I grew up on Dragon Ball. You know,
Dragon
Dragon
Ball.
Ball Z. I used to. It was funny. Like the room, like really close to like the door of my house. I would watch Dragon Ball, and then I'd hear the bus coming, and in the mornings, and I'd run out my door after I was watching Dragon Ball. It was good stuff. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
just so many great ones out there. I always love asking people because you'll get like just stuff that's all over the place. Hunter x Hunter is another one of my all-timers as well. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I appreciate that. I had to ask that question because I'm a huge like a fanboy. Like half my shirts are like anime shirts, and I have a hat. I like wear a lot of primitive skateboarding stuff, and they do lots of anime stuff. But like, not to like go on too long. I just want to say once again, thank you guys so much from like the bottom of my heart. Like it's like I really do appreciate this, and like it means a lot to us. And the Jira fam is very appreciative. And that one of one is just incredible. And like, geez, like you're just like literally killing it. I think that I could just literally scroll through your prints like all day and just keep on looking at like all of them. Like this Ren Goku one, I can't like stop looking at it. It's so sick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, and
Put a
that's
lot of
Yeah,
love
no,
in my stuff.
amazing
I
job.
just saw the Spidey Deku on there. That's an awesome mashup right there. Oh my god, that's so sick, man. But anyways, yeah, like you guys got to run. Thank you again, and we'll wrap it up here. And I like wish you guys the best of luck on your mint and everything like that. And until next time.
Sure.
For sure,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thanks so much
Thank
for
you
having
so
us.
much.
Thank you. Have a good
All right.
next
Thank you,
AMA
everyone.
meeting. Wish you guys luck on that. I know how it feels
All
to go
right.
from call to call, so I get it.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
It'll be fun. Appreciate it,
All
dude. Thanks so
right.
much.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.